I'm Dennis Anderson along with Julie Zenner. Here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
The high cost of gasoline has a lot of people considering alternative vehicles. Options are growing, and new fueling stations in Duluth make these vehicles more practical than ever before.
It's a nautical weekend here in the Twin Ports. Though the tall ships are getting most of the attention, a new vessel is turning heads in the shipping industry.
And we'll have the week's business news and a news file story from 25 years ago.
So it's all coming up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. Wind power, electric power, propane power. We've got it all tonight, Julie.
That's right. Some great stories and some great video pieces coming up later.
Absolutely. Interesting topics this week, so let's get started.
All right. Thank you, Denny, and welcome everyone. The high cost of gasoline has made many people think of buying hybrid, electric, or alternative fuel vehicles. But until recently, there were very few options locally for fueling vehicles that do not run on gasoline. That's changed in just the past month with the addition of an electric car charging station and a self-serve propane fueling station in Duluth. And that means you now have more options to beat the high cost of gas. Well, joining us now is Brian Raygor, the Autogas specialist at Como Oil and Propane, and DyAnn Andybur is the City of Duluth's energy coordinator. And thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, let's start with you. Como is in the process of moving its fleet toward all propane, huh?
That is correct. We're looking to move all of our vehicles to run on propane now.
Talk about that decision and why it makes good business sense for you.
Well, I think if you're in the propane industry, if you can burn your own fuel, that's number one. Cost has been a major reason we've done that. You know, the price of propane, running it for your fuel, is much cheaper than running gasoline or diesel. So, and then we've got the the clean initiative to actually be a cleaner company to run our vehicles on a cleaner source.
For people who are not familiar with how the propane vehicles work, talk about what some of the advantages are for using propane in a vehicle versus gasoline.
There's a few different systems that you can use, one being a straight propane vehicle that runs just strictly on propane, or a biofuel system, which is what we are using as a biofuel system, meaning that the vehicle can run on propane or gasoline. With every vehicle, they have a tank on the car, some place, whether it's a truck or a car, there's got to be a propane tank.
Now, Julie and I just looked at this vehicle, and this car can run both on gasoline and propane?
That is correct. So the car is always going to start on gasoline, but once it's been running for up to 5 seconds, it will convert to propane automatically.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
If I were to ever run out of propane, the car automatically switches back and runs on gasoline.
So you get a lot of mileage out of a tank of propane plus your tank of gasoline.
On that vehicle, I can go about 700 miles before I need any fuel.
Oh, that's impressive. Now, electric cars don't go quite that far, but the city has put an electric charging station up downtown. Talk about the decision to do that and whether you're seeing a strong interest in the community for some alternative fuel.
The impetus is that nationally electric vehicles are being promoted. President Obama's administration has a goal of 1.5 million electric vehicles by 2015. There is a strong demand and presence in the Twin Cities area. So knowing all of that, the opportunity came up to purchase or to acquire this because it was free. So no cost to the city or to the city taxpayers, but an opportunity to put in electric charging stations so that anyone coming up to the Northland could charge their car, or as they say, put in the infrastructure first, and then people can get interested in alternative vehicles.
Do they pay a cost, DyAnn, for that charging?
The charging station right now is free. through the summer, and there will be, I expect there will be a rate
At some
for a
point.
charging session, yes, come this
Now,
fall or
is there
winter.
some type of a timetable, DyAnn, where the city will be putting in other charging stations?
I can tell you this, that the new intermodal facility, which is part of the DTA, that facility on Michigan Street will have 10 charging stations.
How long will it take to charge a car?
Depends on the vehicle.
Okay.
But I want to talk a little bit about the type of charger that you have. So if you purchase an electric vehicle or a plug-in electric vehicle, typically you're going to charge at home, and you're going to charge in a 110 into your normal household power. That will be overnight. But if you want to do a quick charge at, say, one of the charging stations, you can do a quick charge to, say, 85% of power or almost full power in 3 to 4 hours. It depends on the vehicle. So the charging station that we have at the depot is a two-level. A level 1, which is like a household charging station, you use an ordinary plug, and a level 2, which is the faster charge, which is the 3 to 4 hours, or simply charge until you feel like you want to stop.
I can't see the state losing fuel tax dollars. So are we already looking at some way to tax the motorist for charging his or her car?
Well, that's interesting that you would ask, because there was an initiative on the state level to add a fee for electric vehicles. I think it was $100.
Per year?
Yes, yes.
Brian, you talked about converting existing vehicles. How complicated is that process, and what does somebody do if they would like to add propane to their existing vehicle?
The process is not extremely difficult. We do recommend a certified mechanic do the job. First step would be to contact myself, contact Como Oil, and we can help you out in that process.
You can do the actual conversion there?
We set everything up from start to finish, looking at a person's vehicle, finding the right kit, then putting it through the conversion center. And currently we have Benaford as our #1 conversion center. So they will do conversions on all of the vehicles that we bring them, and it doesn't matter the make or model of the vehicle.
Can an older car be converted?
An older car can be converted. However, we are really trying to look at the cars that are EPA certified. Now, it is possible for someone to convert a vehicle and maybe not do it under EPA certifications, but we are sticking to EPA certified vehicles.
What about the fuel mileage? I know that the price per gallon is a little bit less, but do you get comparable fuel mileage?
You're going to see a reduction in your fuel mileage, and it's going to be roughly 15 to 20%. So it's an automatic. You're going to lose fuel mileage. However, it does make up for itself in the price of the fuel.
What about warranties on vehicles? If you start adding a new fuel system to a vehicle, does that kind of make the warranty go away, or are car manufacturers embracing this, even installing their own?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we stay with the EPA certified kits, because those kits have been tested, they've been proven, and they don't affect any warranties. Now, Ford is one company that has gone and produced their own car, changing the actual fuel in the vehicle where it runs strictly on propane. And they've done that with buses and pickup trucks and other trucks.
DyAnn, is the city of Duluth doing anything right now to become more energy efficient?
Oh, incredibly so, yes. We are, in a number of ways. We're installing LED lighting, which in many cases is 50% less energy than traditional high.
Like street lighting?
Yes, they purchased 120 LED lights, and they're placing them in the downtown area and around town to replace what is called a Cobra fixture. So if you drive around the Fire Hall #1, around City Hall, and also along where the incline station is and head west, you'll see these very sleek fixtures. Kind of looks like that, compared to a box high pressure sodium fixture that was probably right across the street. So this is happening today. That is being done by the street utility in the engineering department. And I work and report in the facilities maintenance department, and we are putting in energy efficient lighting in buildings. We've accomplished that in a number of city buildings. Also, we've placed a few LED fixtures along the lake walk. So if you were at Hartley building, and directly behind that there are some LED fixtures there, and also at Lake Place, and we will have more this year.
The city has a hefty electric bill. They're trying to get it down.
Yes,
Huh?
absolutely. Yes.
What about pressure on cities like Duluth to convert to alternative fuel vehicles? You have quite a fleet that you have to operate. Is there any pressure coming at you to take a look at some of these new ideas and convert?
The interest and the focus are the people that are passionate about the changes that have to take place in this country. You know, one of the biggest issues that we have with gasoline is the security issue. Do we really want to depend on foreign countries? And of course they are getting oil here in the United States again, but there is a limit to that. And so people who are far visionaries into the future recognize we need to change from gasoline to perhaps propane, or they are currently advocating at least natural gas as an option for large equipment and electric vehicles for cars and light vehicles. We had an Energy Action Committee create an energy action plan for the entire community starting in September of 2012 and completing in January of 2013. And transportation was high on the list as far as setting goals, and some of the goals included transitioning to a natural gas for the heavy-duty equipment and for fleets. So now here we have propane introduced into the community, so we'll see which one becomes the primary.
Sure.
And how much interest has there been in the propane since you installed this new fueling station? Are people coming up? Are they wanting to learn more
People
and to use it?
are very interested, yes. So I have had a lot of questions, a lot of phone calls. We just had a propane road show down at the deck on Tuesday, which had a lot of people that we opened up to the public, that allowed people to see cars, motorcycles, trucks, semis, school buses, all vehicles that run on propane. So there's been a lot of interest in the propane. And I want to touch on one thing that DyAnn had commented on. The nice thing about propane, 98% of it is all American made. It all comes from the United States. So.
And we were talking a little bit before we went on the air that propane has really come a long way in the past few years in terms of reliability in vehicles, and that's a little bit of a challenge that you have to overcome as you talk to people, that this is different from what they might have experienced a few years ago.
That is correct. Propane has been around for a long time as a fuel for vehicles. However, changes, the number one change being the actual construction of the kits or the systems, going away from a carburetor and now going to a computer, and that computer has made
A world of difference.
It has made a
Well,
huge
you know, a
difference.
few years ago, the city of Duluth did attempt to move into the propane field with their city vehicles, and you know they had some problems with it. But you say the technology today has changed sufficiently.
That is correct. Yeah, so overcoming that hurdle sometimes can be a tough step.
Yeah.
If someone's had it and used it before and found problems in it, we've got to get past that hurdle now.
Yeah. DyAnn, right now, is the city talking at all about going back to propane or any alternate fuel?
The conversation has been about natural gas. So most recently there was a workshop at Hartel's, or sponsored by Hartel's, and also a natural gas installer operator. And there were a number of individuals interested in hearing about the natural gas. And they're specifically gearing the natural gas for waste hauling vehicles. That's one of a few. And so there's interest in Duluth in that area. So we had a meeting shortly after that, and it was with city fleet personnel to talk about the possibility. But there really are a number of issues that have to be considered. Changing part of the fleet is difficult because of needing to know the mechanics of two different systems. The building ventilations need to be reconsidered because diesel fuel falls, whereas natural gas rises. So there's a lot of those kinds of issues that have to be resolved. We are going to have a study, just an independent study, on what it would cost to install a natural gas station in Duluth and where it might be located. So it's really a feasibility study that needs to take place because it would be a number of years before it could happen.
It sounds like we're really on the cusp of change.
Yes.
But maybe 20, 25 years from now, this will be so normal we won't even be talking about it.
That's the hope.
That's the hope.
That's the hope.
What do
Actually,
you see
sooner
as
than
the-
25 years.
What
though.
do you see as the future as you look to what's happening in the auto industry and where it's going right now?
I think we're going to see the changes. Government wants the change. People are starting to see the change. So, unfortunately, it just takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
it's
I
happening.
think we're going to see a change. Will we be completely away from gasoline and diesel? I can't say that. But will we use another form of energy, you know, to power our vehicles? I believe so.
I can tell you how it's happening. The DTA, the current DTA,
Yep.
at their maintenance facility on 27th Avenue West will have a compressed natural gas station behind that facility in a short number of years.
Wow.
Are there incentives for individuals and businesses who want to make these conversions?
I don't know of that.
On the propane, there is. There is incentives to convert your vehicles, and then there is a 50-cent credit for every gallon that you purchase also for the price of propane.
And a company that has a fleet, for example, a taxi cab company might have a fleet of several automobiles. There would be tax breaks for each vehicle, I would assume.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Are you focusing more on individuals or on the big fleets of vehicles? In the
Looking
community?
more to the fleets,
Uh-huh.
but I've had many individuals call that are very interested also. So I focus more on the fleets, but I'm happy to talk to
Yeah.
individuals all the time.
All right, so if people see you driving that cool car around, they can stop you and
Oh,
say hello and ask questions?
They can, they do it all the time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing the
Yeah,
information.
thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank
Thank you.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
It's a herd of 75 buffalo. Not real large, but a rarity in Minnesota all the same. Most Minnesota ranchers raise beef cows. Don Trebosser is different. He's been raising buffalo near Cotton 10 years.
I had the feelings of preservation of a Native American animal that I felt strongly about, and plus the profit potential that I saw at that time.
A bison costs about $1,000 per head to buy, raise up, and sell. But even at that high price, Trebosser says the profit margin is high enough to make it very worthwhile.
Profit margin is there. Knowing where to sell your product is probably the most important thing. Next to that is the handling facilities of to handle the animal.
Buffalo meat is also very good for you. The problem is it's a specialty item that's not readily available in supermarkets. Trebosser says the way to cure that problem? More buffalo ranchers. In Cotton, Lisa Molosky, KDLH News.
Tens of thousands of people are visiting the Twin Ports this weekend to see the tall ships. These beautiful 2- and 3-masted sailing vessels arrived in a parade of sail Thursday afternoon, passing beneath Duluth's iconic aerial lift bridge. Hundreds of local vessels greeted the parade of sailing ships, one of the biggest tourist events in the summer here. Now, for many, the event recalls the Twin Ports' shipping heritage, when schooners similar to these carried passengers and cargo back and forth across the Great Lakes. Duluth's Tall Ships 2013 celebration continues through Sunday afternoon. Meanwhile, in Superior, the newest and most modern cargo vessel on the Great Lakes called on Superior's Midwest Energy Terminal this week. Canada Steamship Line's Whitefish Bay was taking on its first load of coal at its maiden voyage, and this morning the ship was opened up to the media to show off the state-of-the-art energy-efficient vessel.
We're very happy to have this vessel here and to be partners with CSL. This is a state-of-the-art vessel, and we just think it's appropriate to be coupled up with the state-of-the-art terminal. We have the largest facility on the Great Lakes, bulk terminal-wise. We move more coal than anybody else combined on the lakes. And we have the highest loading capacity in the world, having only a single ship loader that you see out the window and one single rotary car dumper. So we're very excited that these types of vessels, state-of-the-art vessels, are coming into our trade to move coal, yes, that's coal I said, from Midwest Energy Resources Company up to Quebec City on the first leg of our export journey to Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And these vessels are phenomenal. The efficiency is much, much greater than anything else on the lakes, and efficiency relates to high efficiency, relates to lower costs inures to the benefit of our customers, and that just helps us continue this business going forward.
We're not here by accident, by any means. We chose this location, we chose this venue. Why? Because we're very proud of the relationship that we have with Fred Shusterich, his team of excellent guys who run this world-class facility. We've loaded well over 1.5 million tons here just last year and this year. We hope to continue to do that for many years to come. There's a lot of jobs that are based in terms of this industry, and working with guys like Fred and the ore terminals. We've got a few of the ore terminals, a number of the players in this community. This is a fantastic environment, a fantastic region in which to do business. I expect we're going to be doing more and more business in the years ahead because of the world-class players and the world-class facilities and assets you have here. The Whitefish Bay is indeed a state-of-the-art vessel. Some of the priorities that went into the development of this vessel, and by the way, these vessels don't get thrown together with a few sketches in a few years. The vision for this vessel was developed within CSL roughly 11 or 12 years ago, when the question was, we're coming up on 100 years in business, Canada Steamship Lines, and the question is, what are we going to do for the next 100? And the idea is that we need to develop a vessel that provides a leadership capability in terms of our environmental footprint, that minimizes our fuel consumption, that reduces our emissions. The design of this hull, the technology that you see on the bridge here and throughout the vessel, allow this vessel to be safer and more environmentally sustainable than anything else on the lakes. We're not building one of them. This is the second of a set of 6 of them. The first 4 are self-unloaders. But it was a vision that has come to reality for a number of reasons. The foreign exchange allowed the Canadian dollar to become a little more competitive and for us to get better value. The price of cost of building vessels within China became significantly more competitive. And the Canadian government made it what we felt was a very prudent and forward-thinking decision, which was to remove the 25% duty that had, up until that time, applied on the construction of vessels outside of Canada. So this for us is really a step forward. It's also a signal of our commitment to the Great Lakes market. We really believe in this market. This has been our market for 100 years. We have businesses in Australia, throughout Europe, as well as on the east and west coasts of North America with CSL International. But the Great Lakes is Canada Steamship's home. Montreal is our headquarters. And these vessels, I think, are a signal of that commitment to doing business within the Great Lakes. People talk about intermodal transportation, and people think about containers. I used to work in the container business, but let me tell you, the bulk business is an intermodal business. We couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for the Burlington Northern, the Canadian National, and so many other railroads that bring cargoes to this port and many around the Great Lakes. We couldn't do it without state-of-the-art terminals around the lakes, but it's the people, it's the attitudes, it's the relationships, it's the commitment to innovate and to grow that we see throughout the lakes, and especially here in Duluth and Superior. Canada Steamship Lines is going through a process right now of intense focus on safety. We're really looking closely at everything we do and making sure that there's not just the processes in place, but the culture, the way that people think about the way they do their jobs and the way actually they live their lives. And safety is so important. This has really become, along with the environment, 2 of the key pillars of our values and our mission. We're proud of the ship. We don't often bring media on board, but this was an irresistible opportunity. And you've been a great group, so thank you very much.
The Whitefish Bay is 740 feet long and can carry 33,000 tons of cargo through the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Seaway. She's the second of Canada Steamship's Trillium class of Lakers, 15% more fuel efficient than the company's earlier class of vessels.
Well, now it's time for the week's top business stories from the folks at Business North. In September, the Minnesota Discovery Center in Chisholm will host the Iron Range Miners Expo Tool and Equipment Showcase. Lisa Vessel, Discovery Center Executive Director, said it just made sense to have an expo where all this work and development is taking place. They launched the expo last year with an event that drew vendors, miners, and other exhibitors from around the industry.
Kent DeMontsu has been hired as Vice President, Finance and Information Services for Memorial Medical Center and Hayward Area Memorial Hospital. DeMontsu will serve as Chief Financial Officer for both the Ashland and Hayward facilities. He will begin his new role August the 19th, succeeding Les Whiteacre, who is retiring after a 40-year career.
Benedictine Health System is adding to its Duluth Health Center near the College of St. Scholastica campus. Benedictine will construct an enhanced assisted living facility addition to its health center. The $9.2 million project is being financed by a healthcare facilities revenue note issued by the Duluth Economic Development Authority and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority of Duluth. The 40,000 square foot two-story structure will be built by Johnson Wilson Constructors. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment, now's the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdsc.org. And for the latest programming updates, visit the WDSC website, where you will also find the latest news and information about the station. Well, Julie, let's hope there's good weather for the tall ship enthusiasts in town and all the other activities going on in the Northland this weekend.
Well, if the crowds down by Canal Park and the waterfront are any indication, weather doesn't really matter.
It doesn't, does it?
People
They're
just want to
there
see the ships.
Nonetheless, that's for sure. Well, for Julie and all of us at Almanac North, I'm Dennis Anderson. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody, and be kind.